this girl was next to me at this party. She went, "Is that a Rolex?" I went, "Why, yes, it is." And
No, you
the second hand had fallen off. It was such...
Wow.
Hello and welcome to the Abroad in Japan podcast, probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. I'm your host, Chris Broad, we're joined, as always, by Pete Dawson himself. Pete, how the devil are you doing? Japan's most favourite person. What's the line I say at the start of every podcast for the last 5 years?
I like that you've come back after a little week with Connor in his van, and your hair is long and luscious, but your brain is empty and confused.
My jawline is more ragged. Fucking awful, isn't it? Fuck's sake.
Did you go to like a cabin like those? Have you seen those videos of those men who go to cabins and they're not allowed to drink alcohol and they eat meat and they work out and they talk about bettering themselves and
we did the opposite of that.
And stuff.
We did the exact opposite of that. We ate meat, we drank alcohol, we talked about anything but investments, and we had a spider. We had a huntsman spider in one of the bloody cabins.
Oh yes,
and Connor had to dispose of it.
Always a risk. How did I mean, I saw Connor. I saw the video where Connor was looking at it, and I don't know what happened after that.
Yeah, it's on Twitter and Instagram.
Right.
I walked past the toilet and I saw like something big moving up the wall, and I was like, "Oh, fuck off!" I was like, "Connor, there's something in there." And he went in and he was like, "Oh God!" And it was like a huntsman spider. Of course, the moment I posted it, it's an objectively big spider, but lots of people are like, "Oh, I've seen bigger fucking spiders in Sydney, mate." Oh, yeah, yes, I know Australia has bigger
a big
spiders.
Spider, mate. We got big fucking lobsters, a big fucking spiders, a big woodlouse. Woodlouse the size of a shoe. It's awful in Australia. Don't come down here.
I know Australia is filled with like death and terror. I don't need to be told that, you know. But it was big by the standards of Japan. And the only time I've seen something like that was on the Wacky Weekend episode where Connor and I went to this like desert island, and it was literally the land of huntsman spiders, and it was horrible. But he did eventually vanquish the beast, I think. And
Mr. Beast.
After a few, oh god, and he did get rid of the spider. So it's good having Connor around.
Brave,
He'll do your bidding.
A big brave Welshman, a big burly Welshman to sort it all out.
And by the way, I've been watching a new TV show. Segue there.
Oh,
The Penguin.
yeah, okay.
Watch The Penguin. Stop what you're doing. Don't listen to this podcast. Go and watch The Penguin with Colin Farrell. Yeah.
Farrell, yeah.
Colin Farrell.
Okay, yeah, I do like him. He's very good. What does the Penguin get up to? Just roll around, be naughty, do little tricks.
He's busy trying to take over Gotham. And with the degree of success, and doing a really cool, fun accent, like, "I fucking Gotham, I'll kick your fucking ass."
Oh,
it's
yeah,
so good.
it's like a New York. He's a New Yorker. I'm a New York Penguin. What?
He's really good, but it's a really good show. Actually, I don't know what I expected going into it. It's you don't have to have watched you don't have to have seen the Batman film with Robert Pattinson, and it does help, and I would encourage it. It's a good film. I don't think I prefer it to like The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is more fun. The villain is better, but it is a very good film, and this is a sort of spin-off that came 3 or 4 years down the road. And it's very, very good. If you're into gangster crime dramas, then this is exceptional. And Colin Farrell deserves like a bucket of awards for his performance, because you look at it.
Chair for that length of time.
There is no chair. He's a fucking like the prosthetics.
To get the old prosthetics, yeah. I mean, that would take such a long time. It's what everyone says when they have to wear prosthetics. They always, they're celebrated, but they do have to spend about 4 hours in makeup every morning.
But usually, when you see an actor in prosthetics, you can sort of see the actor underneath. But for this, it is quite hard to see Colin Farrell. You don't look at that and go, "Oh, it's Colin Farrell." And I think that's a major achievement. And his voice, his acting, his performance is the reason why behind that to some extent. But yeah, really good show. Been really enjoying it. Definitely a highlight of this year so far. I would say I'm enjoying it more than Shogun even. And Shogun was probably the best TV show I've seen this year. We got a story this week.
Netflix or Amazon? How is it?
No,
kind of
HBO.
Is that
HBO.
I've got a long flight to Japan, obviously, and I need to sort of just collect together a few things.
Are you excited about coming?
Watch that. I am excited. I finally booked my flight last week, and I was I tried to book it via BA because I had a lot of points, and then panicked that my points hadn't been applied. And you get 24 hours to a cooling off period, I think you call it. You can cancel a flight and you get everything back and all that stuff. I did that, and they gave me my money back, but they didn't give me my Avios back. They didn't give me my points, my flying points. And so I was like, well, I can't rebook this flight. And I rang a few times. I said, sorry, we cannot give you the points back because it was a price reduction, I think. And I was like, yeah, I did it within 24 hours. They eventually gave me it back like yesterday, by which I'd already booked a flight with ANA. So I've gone with the Japanese carrier, but I ain't gonna be sat in economy for 13, 14 hours.
God.
Oh God,
I don't envy you, man.
But I am going to be taking you to the wrestling, so I'm very excited about that. I do get to take.
Oh, I can't
take
wait.
my boy to the wrestling. He's never been to in Japan. Very
Gosh,
enjoyable.
I cannot wait. Which one are we going to? Is it the one in Osaka?
No, it's the one in Tokyo. Well, it's easier, isn't it? It's easier to get there, isn't it?
I want to go to Osaka.
Osaka. Yeah. I've got my eye on a. There's Amayama who sell a lot of Toyota parts that I need. That's in Osaka, and you can go and pick them up if you need to. So I might do a little day trip to there to pick up a load of motors and car parts.
You're just going to buy loads of Japanese stuff and sell it on eBay when you get home, right? And fund your trip like you do every time.
Because of the old yen, the weakness of the yen. But yeah, I'm really excited, man. It's been such a long time, and I'm looking forward to doing some little bits and bobs with you, and to take my little boy to the wrestling, and a good time will be had by all. It's
gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I have to think of something punishing to do to you.
We'll put some stuff. Well, we could put some stuff in the. Maybe I could do a Peter in Chris's life video for the podcast channel. For the video channel.
Let's do it.
A Don in Nippon. A Don in Nippon.
A Don in Nippon.
Yeah. A Don in Nippon.
Oh, God. The people aren't ready. The people simply aren't ready.
No.
Oh,
the last time I was going to Japan, though, I didn't sort of indulge in energy drinks and coffee all that much, because like I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You're like, oh God, why am I awake? And then I'm like, I won't drink any energy drinks. I won't drink any coffee because I want to go back to bed. But you never do go back to bed. So I'm just gonna be hyped. I'm gonna be off my face. I'm gonna be Premier 2P excitable. And like out there and charismatic, I've decided, by drinking a lot of energy drinks. So watch out.
I'm going to hold you to it.
Yeah.
We got a story this week from Phil from Manchester, who says, "Good day to the good podcast gentlemen. A story about my first trip to Japan and interaction with the lovely people of Tokyo. In June 2019, I was on my first trip to Japan. I was having a great time, albeit getting used to the many lingering looks and audible gasps from the locals. I'm an ex-bodybuilder, and as I'm probably 3 times the size of most Japanese adults, it wasn't a surprise when I heard Godzilla whispered from behind me." Fucking hell. Godzilla, really? That's cool. "On one lovely warm day, I was wandering around Akihabara and had just entered the square on the side of the station, the quiet side, and I heard a squeal and looked up to see a group of 7 or so young schoolgirls running towards me. I thought there must be someone famous behind me as the girls were seemingly waving bits of paper. Totally confused, I looked behind me, expecting to see David Beckham or Justin Bieber, who might warrant such behaviour. No such celebrity. Then my mind turned to perhaps it was some sort of TV setup, but no cameras to be seen. The girls had now caught me up, and I took one of the pieces of paper from the excited-looking girls. It said they were from a local school and had been tasked with finding an English speaker to complete a questionnaire. The next 10 minutes was spent with the group repeating stock English phrases, and me encouraging them by saying how good they were at English. Is this normal for schools to let loose mobs of children to scare Englishmen? It goes to show how safe Japan must be, that children have no fear of strangers, even ones who look like Godzilla." Phil from Manchester. And this is quite common, though. This is very common. Like, if you go to Kamakura, you will not be able to move, because this will happen to you over and over. And it's quite fun the first few times.
Is that like a kind of school place to sort of school trip kind of place to go to Kamakura?
Essentially, it's a school trip destination, and you'll be like looking at the Buddha, and someone will come and be like, "Do you speak English?" And you'll be like, "Yeah," and then they'll interrogate you about boring things like your favourite colour and your favourite animal. And again, the first few times it's fun, and then after the 8th or 9th time, you want to run away from Kamakura. So, but fair play to them for approaching Godzilla Phil. Well done.
Yeah, I think it's another. I think every show we get an email from a gigantic man He basically says, I'm too big for Japan, I'm massive, I'm from Sweden. But yeah, if you go to anywhere touristy, you'll see little kids with clipboards running around going, I want to ask you questions in English. And speaking of Kamakura, I was reading a book called the Tokyo Express. The Tokyo Express book. It's a Penguin classic from Seiichi Matsumoto. And my God, that book is basically... It's a sort of double. What do they call it on YouTube to stop them being demonetized? Unalived. A double unaliving, and such wank. I hate the algorithm. And basically, it's the two people have gone and left the world, and they have and a detective is trying to figure out what's going on. Chris, don't say that.
You can say
You're
dead
get
on
in all
YouTube.
kinds of trouble. Can't you?
Say the S word. Yeah.
Sexy, sexy deading.
Say,
anyway, they died, and then a detective's trying to figure it out. And honestly, every page of this fucking novel is a man talking about train timetables from Tokyo to Kamakura.
Sounds amazing.
It is insanity. Honestly, it's like, and he goes to visit a woman, and she's got a train timetable, and because she's got an illness, she can't move, but she can read this train timetable and travel in her mind. And this book is just all about this man. The writer clearly fucking loves trains and train timetables. And this is a Penguin classic. I don't know who this Matsumoto person is. I don't know whether they're celebrated or not. But I was like, I just need a book. I like Japan. Let's read this book. And my God, what a waste of time.
You could have read Abroad in Japan and learned about an Englishman being a bellend in Japan.
I know everything I need to know about this fella. Read it again. You don't make any more money.
What's it called again?
What?
What's the book?
It's called, just let me get my phone. It is Seiichi Matsumoto's Tokyo Express. I should have known, really. The picture is literally a fucking train.
Sounds riveting.
But I didn't realise it was going to be so fucking detailed on it. It's just a man going, it's the train was from Kamakura was coming in at 5:38. There was only a window of 4 minutes for you to be able to see the person over the other side of the shop about trains. For crying out
sounds
loud.
amazing.
Get back to Denshidago, you dickhead.
It sounds like a very mindful book. A book on mindfulness and trains.
Yeah. Very demure, very mindful.
There are some weird books on Japan, though. I tried to read some books about Japan before I came here, and there are some really good ones, like For Fukui's Sake and Hokkaido Highway Blues spring to mind. They're really well written, like Will Ferguson. And but then a lot of them are very specific, and the writer is extremely passionate about Japan, and they'll explain everything in painstaking detail, and it's quite hard to get into, right? And that's something I'm quite mindful of, because most people have a passing interest in Japan. Most people don't want to know the intricacies of the tea ceremony necessarily, or what everything is called, and it can be hard to find just a simple, nice book about Japan.
It's set in Japan, right? Yeah.
But I want to read this book now, the train guide book.
Yeah. The train guide book. You can
very
get
specific.
an audiobook if you need to.
Well, today's story sounds like something out of a book. Last week, I talked about how I was kicked off a boat, a literal raft by Connor into a roaring river. But in the heat of the moment, my act of revenge was to grab his watch and pull it underwater with me, and then let go. That's not how it went down. I sort of grabbed his watch without realising it, brought it into the sea with me. But
either way, have you
watches.
atoned for your sins? Have you spoken to your padre? Have you? Forget about Mr. Beast. You need to talk to Mr. Priest. This thieving stuff that you're doing at the moment. It's not good. It's unbecoming.
I know, right? I'm as bad as the very Yakuza we're about to talk about. Pete, fill us in on the naughty Yakuza who stole some watches in Osaka.
Well, a load of proper boat. I mean, because this is like proper Cockney crime, isn't it? People were recently arrested by the Osaka police in Japan for allegedly stealing a delivery van carrying more than 170 Rolex watches. Now that, if you're familiar, even on nodding terms with how expensive a Rolex is, that's a lot of cheese. According to the announcement made by the police department, one of the perpetrators is a member of the Yakuza. The 52-year-old suspect allegedly works for the Yamaguchi Gumi, a crime syndicate with close to 3,500 members. According to the newspaper, the police report states that the Yakuza member, along with another person, stole a delivery vehicle loaded with around 200 items, including luxury watches worth about $1.9 million. And it was in Osaka's Chuo Ward around 8:45 in the morning. It was on its way to deliver the watches to a Rolex distributor from a distribution centre in Osaka. The van's driver, a woman in her 60s, had stopped to make a delivery and left the vehicle unattended for about 3 minutes. The driver didn't take the key while making the delivery, and the doors were left unlocked. The perpetrators took advantage of the situation and stole the van and all the items inside. Is it really easy to hotwire a van, a K car, or whatever in Japan? I wonder.
I wonder. I mean, this sort of thing's really rare in Japan. I think people let their guard down. Like, in the countryside, when people go to a convenience store or supermarket in winter when it's cold, they'll just leave their car running while they go inside, and their cars are running. Yeah. And, in the UK, God forbid, doing that out the front of a shop, because someone just walk in and drive off with the car, and it's quite disarming the first few times you're out in the countryside and you see that sort of thing happening. It's also quite nice. It's nice to live in a world where trust exists and people aren't pricks. But, also another thing about Rolex watches, I don't know, I wonder if Japan is number one ranked for country with the most Rolex watches per capita. It's probably up there, because in Japan, when you hit 20... and you sort of get the coming of age ceremony, you get a watch, and it's usually a Rolex watch. Your parents will shell out. I didn't get that. I got like a nothing. But in Japan, they get Rolex watches. So it certainly pays to be a kid in Japan. Get a Rolex watch. Just don't go rafting with me and kick me off the fucking boat, because I'll take it with me. I'll take that Rolex watch to the bottom of the sea.
But it's that kind of patriarchal kind of society, isn't it? Where it's like there's
the man needs a watch.
A man needs a watch, and a man gives a watch to a man, and they are respected each other. The watches and the respect, and the watch and the respect, and the subjugation of women, and all that. It's all tied up, isn't it, with the whole mano stuff? I'm not a big watch guy, but I do have a fake Rolex that I'm quite fond of.
Oh my god, a fake Rolex!
And I was at a party once, and it's so shit. I mean, it looks good. It looks like a Rolex watch, and I'm like, look, I'm never gonna fucking afford a Rolex watch, and I'm not the kind of guy. I think I probably had the money to buy a Rolex watch back then, but I was like, why? Who cares? I am gilding a really bad looking lily at this point. These little boy arms had a shit fake Rolex watch on them, and she said this girl was next to me in this party. She went, "Is that a Rolex?" I went, "Why, yes, it is." And the second hand had fallen off. It was so shit. It was rattling about. God. It was rattling about in the bottom of the thing, and she hadn't noticed. I was like, "Why, yes." And if the second hand wasn't rattling around, I would not have said, "No, it's a piece of shit." I wouldn't have got involved. But I was like, "That is so funny." I'm going to say it is. Yeah.
Oh my
good
god,
stuff.
Pete.
Good stuff.
Oh,
but they're good looking. They're good looking watches. They're understated. And I think
Get a real Japanese one. You're a rich man. You can find a fucking Rolex.
I've got responsibilities.
Rolex Donaldson.
The Japanese. The Japanese wear their kind of money quite lightly, don't they? And the only time you really know, because a lot of people don't have really expensive cars, because to be honest, the expensive cars wouldn't fit down half the roads, and watches are the one place where people kind of display a bit of wealth. But it is usually Rolexes that you see kicking around. They're nice little watches, very very understated. And I respect that.
I wouldn't know, man. I don't have one. I should get a nice watch. I used to have a really good watch.
A nice watch.
It was a
I'll steal one of Connor's.
Yeah, I'll just go and steal some more Samsung watches. I got a watch by Bearing, which is a really nice watch, and I think the battery ran out, and I couldn't be bothered to get it replaced. So it's in a cupboard now.
Jackie's partner works in clocks, doesn't he?
Our friend Jackie.
Get involved. He'll get you a discount.
He'll get me a Rolex. But I mean, the Rolexes, they seem to come up a lot. Like last year, there was like 3 masked men smashed up a Ginza shop selling Rolex watches. It was quite the media kind of circus around that. The idea that Ginza, this sort of luxurious, impenetrable place in Tokyo, smashed up to get Rolex watches. It was quite a big deal. So, yeah, don't keep your watches safe in Tokyo. Clearly,
do you see that man in Roppongi, completely Billy Bollocks, having a little fiddle with himself in the train station at Roppongi? There was a picture that was there's a lad who always sends me some awesome stuff on Twitter, and it was this. This man was just in, like, he'd had a full night, I think. But yeah, he was just completely Billy Bollocks, completely nude, and he was in Roppongi train station, and 2 policemen were attending his getting a bit nude, in Jeremy Bramo sends me stuff. He's very good on Twitter.
Well, I tell you what I did see. The thing doing the rounds this week was a girl doing pull-ups on a Tory gate. Do you see that? Absolute fucking
Jesus
idiot, honestly.
Christ.
Every week there has to be something. This time, a girl from Chile was doing pull-ups on a Tory gate to some sort of TikTok music. She's pulling herself up and dancing around, and my God, the hate she received for that. You know, it's like, what are you doing? Don't do that. Yeah. It should be abundantly clear. Don't take a revered national object and turn it into fucking jungle gym equipment. That really annoyed me, and my sympathy for her is limited over that. It really is, honestly. She made a video being like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realise. Please don't say anything nasty to me." You know, I know, of course, don't attack the girl or don't say anything bad to her, but like, fuck, she needs to understand. People, man. Fucking people.
There are a lot of them kicking around, to be fair. A lot of Tory gates, and you don't know which. Some of them are proper shrines, some of them are just doorways to little streets. So what's what, guys? Just don't use so many Tory gates. That's what I'm saying. What about that one in Kyoto with all of them, with the loads of like the pencils and stuff? Like too many of them.
Monkey bars. I just see them as monkey bars.
Monkey bars, yeah, the monkey bars.
Fushimi Inari, yeah. Honestly,
gotta get to the end. The floor is lava.
It's not outside the realms of possibility that someone will literally turn Fushimi Inari into monkey bars at this point. And when it happens, you won't hear the end of it. But the only good bit of news is it looks like the go-kart business might be closing down, or I know they're being sued at the moment because they let underage people drive or something.
Right,
so
okay.
That will be nice to see them not driving.
Another one will pop up in its place. It's like Saddam Hussein. It's like
that's true.
Cut off the head of the eye dress, some other awful person will pop in.
Maybe we should set one up. Such a big industry, clearly.
Well,
get the go-karts
out. You're the one who's been go-karting this week, for crying out loud.
Right.
Everyone could look like a little Toyota Century. Beautiful.
Go-karts through Shibuya, what could possibly go wrong? We'll be back in just a moment, guys, with stories, comments and questions over in the fax machine.
Wow.
And we're back with the fax machine. What do we got this week from our listeners, Mr. Dawson? Fill us in.
We got a message from Ethan. Hello, Chris and Pete. I'm currently staying in Kyoto with a friend, and tonight we saw the strangest thing, and Google has provided no answers. We were walking back from dinner and came across a squad of what I assume were policemen walking down the street with glowing red sticks. One of them was banging 2 sticks together in a few second intervals. Have you ever come across a thing? Curious to know what it was. Cheers, Ethan. Just so, I mean, those sticks that are glowing are usually for either traffic officers or those blokes who stand outside underground car parks waving stuff, like the kind of beckoners, aren't they? But I don't know why people would kind of why they would be clanking them together walking down the street.
Well, they're just bored. They're probably just fucking bored. Genuinely, like, there's a lot of people in Japan walking around with sticks, glow in the dark sticks, whatever, usually doing roadworks, and they probably just got bored of hitting them together.
Right.
It's simple. Okay. I love that. It's an ancient ritual as old as time. Where the Japanese police officer takes the glow stick and back. No, it's just he was just bored. Just the man got bored.
No, okay, right.
Genuinely, I think that's probably
wild.
But yeah, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is a ritual. Don't know. Let me know. But if there is, I don't know it. We got one here from Sebastian from Germany. He says, "Hello, Chris and Pete. I recently found out that there is almost no use for 1 and 5 yen coins. So I collected them and dumped all the useless coins into a donation box at the top of Kiyomizudera Temple in Kyoto, which earned me some curious looks from students nearby. I know that the Japanese don't tip on the whole. Is there any sort of etiquette around these donation tins? Best regards, Sebastian from Germany." I think it's lovely, Sebastian. What a lovely act. I think it's probably just a rare sight, isn't it? Somebody just turning up with a pot of money and just throwing it into a donation box, because most people do 1 coin and then they pray, then they go off and eat some chicken, right? So I think the act of having a big jar of money and just pouring it in is a bit weird and quite unusual.
I'm going to get more wishes. I'm going to get all the prayers.
It's very Natsuki-esque behaviour, isn't it? And when I was last in Kiyomizudera, he bought the Omikuji Fortune his fortune was bad. He went, fucking fortune shit. He went back and bought another one, and that one was good, and it sort of cancelled out the bad one.
He's unlocked life. He's unlocked life. Why is there bad wishes in there? Why are there bad fortunes there? That's awful.
I know, right? It should all be good. We've got one last question from Nicholas, who says, hey guys, my wife and I are planning a trip to Japan in May of next year. In Chris's latest video about things you shouldn't do in Japan, he mentioned it's not always acceptable to wear sunglasses. This causes me some concern as I wear prescription transition lenses. Do I need... Okay, I'll cut to the chase on this one. I hate whenever I do a don't do this in Japan thing, because people are like, oh my god, that affects me. I will say, don't worry about it. Honestly, this is one of those things where it was more an interesting piece of trivia than something you need to really worry about. People aren't going to rip your head off for wearing sunglasses. No one will ever say anything. It was more just sort of teaching these sort of things that you've got to be wary of if you lived here, maybe. But... yeah, don't worry about it at all. Have you got prescription glasses?
Nicholas, you have to. If your glasses dare to get any darkness in them, you have to cover your eyes with your hands until they are as clear as a glass bottle. Every single time your transition lenses decide to transition, you have to cover your glasses before, and that is the we call it the anti-trans movement on the Project podcast. No transitioning if you're a pair of spectacles, not allowed.
Another video demonetised.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? I guess it's kind of like demonetised. Have you seen the bloody internet? They're awful at the trans community. I would say you're right, though. Every time you put a video out, they sort of go, well, they don't really do this in Japan. People go, oh, my God, my trip is ruined. Right?
I'm sort of damned. I mean, look, don't worry. Honestly, if you come to Japan, there's only two things not to do. Number one, take off your shoes when you go indoors, because you're literally getting somewhere dirty, and that is the only time I've seen a Japanese person really sort of freak out. And the second thing not to do is treat a Tory gate like a fucking jungle gym, right? Don't do a pull-up on a Tory gate. If you're not doing those two things, shoes and jungle gym Tory gates, you're going to have a great time in Japan. You're going to have a fucking phenomenal time, all right? So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Nicholas. Yeah. You wear those prescription sunglasses. I know how you feel, because I too wear prescription sunglasses, sorry. And when I was told by a colleague, because we were doing a documentary on earthquakes, we filmed at a temple in Kyoto and Tokyo, sorry, and she was like, don't wear sunglasses. And it was like the most blindingly light day I've ever seen. Right. And I understand where she's coming from, because we're making a video as well. So, but yeah, just... don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just ignore my videos. Don't worry about it. That's a rule to live by. Ignore abroad in Japan. Ignore me. And don't do a pull up on a Tory gate. Keep the stories, questions, comments coming in to abroadjapanpodcast@gmail.com. We'll be back, guys, later in the week to do all over again. But for now, have yourself a great few days, and we'll see you right back here to do all over again on the Abroad in Japan podcast. Bye for now. Have yourselves a good one.